Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about the three spiritual practices that have pretty much been lost from our modern day way of doing religion and spiritual living. So in our current, I live in the United States, so a lot of the individuals here are Christian, right? But I noticed that like a lot of fanatics and preachers, they go to church, they preach the gospel, or they cite lines from the scripture. However, they they aren't pure themselves, right? They're not practicing themselves. Meaning, okay, if I go to church, right? Maybe I'm not a preacher, maybe I'm just a regular person, and I go to church every Sunday, right? And I pray with the people at the church, and I read the Bible, and I sing the hymns, or there's certain like songs that they sing, right? Whatever. But let's say, okay, Sunday's over, right? I've did my service, the Sunday service at church, right? So I go back to my normal everyday life. I go back to my job, but I'm still not in a state of grace. I'm not purifying myself. I'm not purifying my heart, my mind. I think a lot of modern day Christians, and I don't know how it is for other religions, but a lot of like modern day Christians preach, oh, just be good, be nice to everybody, uh, have good morals, don't be an asshole or whatever, don't be mean. And that's all cool. That's fine. Kindness is definitely essential, but like you don't want to like that can't be the only thing. That can't be the only like facet of your teaching, of like, let's say, the Christian way of living, for example. So I want to talk about the three practices that a lot of individuals have forgotten, especially religious individuals, right? Not just regular people. Uh, so let's begin. So the first practice that most individuals have forgotten about is fasting, right? So every single religion, every single one, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Jainism, Sikhism, pretty much every single one has included fasting in their way of doing religion, basically, right? Because the individuals understood that, and even actually, I'm sorry to go off here, but even like ascetics and like the the philosophers in Greece, like the Greek philosophers, practiced fasting, like Socrates and Aristotle. I think Aristotle had people fast for 40 days before he would accept them into his school, his teachings. So fasting is very paramount to every single religion and school of thought, right? Because I think they understood that if we're gonna have people that are religious and holy and pious and connected with God, they have to have a clean vessel. They have to be able to have that connection to God or infinite intelligence, right? They can't be all clogged up, bogged down, just not clear in the head, right? By just constant eating and overconsumption. So fasting was very paramount. And I think ever since like modernity and, when individuals just stopped wanting to practice austerity, we stopped fasting. And it's so weird now that, you go up to any individual and say, hey, I'm fasting. They'll be like, they'll be worried for you. They'll be like, oh, why are you starving yourself? Or why are you, why don't you just eat something? Like, what's the problem or something, right? Like, they're just so, they don't understand. And I feel like it's been like that. It's been like that for the past few generations, because their parents told their parents that, you have to eat, you have to eat breakfast, you have to eat lunch, you have to eat dinner. I think the 3 meal a day thing's been going on for a couple hundred years now, because it seems like everybody is so fixated on eating every meal of the day, right? Most people, right? Even most Christians, right? The only time that, like, you know, a portion of Christians like to fast is during Lent, right? They don't, like, back in like tradition, like Christians would fast like twice a week, at least once a week, but definitely twice a week. Now it's like they only fast when it's like Lent, and some of them don't even do that, right? Sometimes they'll give up something, but they won't fast, right? So fasting is paramount. I've talked about fasting many times, but I just want to say that, like, yeah, like fasting has been not completely forgotten, but a majority of religious individuals do not fast in modern day. And it's a shame, because that is a cornerstone of every religion, right? So that's definitely something that needs to, I'm actually starting to see reemerge, which is a good thing, because fasting does wonders for everything, right? From, the science of how it cleans the body, and how your mind, like, is healed, and everything, your connection to spirit, everything. So fasting is essential. Now, what's the next thing that has been forgotten? Semen retention slash celibacy. Guys, we have a society where everybody just wants to have sex. Plain and simple, right? Whether you're a Hindu, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, a lot of people just want to fucking have sex. That's it, right? We live in our current society where we're so disconnected from our past, our religious roots, that we have no idea that, there have been monks, priests, religious figures, like individuals like Buddha, Christ, Krishna, and a lot of saints and rabbis that have almost all of them have practiced celibacy in some form, right? Whether it be for a few years or as a lifetime, right? We have, like I said, individuals who will go to church and they'll read the Bible, and it will literally talk about, not looking at women in a certain way, and not wanting and not being lustful. Yet they still continue to do the same thing. They continue to look at women in a lustful way. They continue to indulge in sex. They continue to look at pornography. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm just bringing this to the forefront, because celibacy is not just about not having sex or being like having sexual restraint. That's part of it. But another part of it is cleaning your consciousness, right? Because here's the thing. If you don't have a clean spirit, meaning, like, if you're not like, you could be like celibate, let's say, or you could be on like semen retention, but you're still on Instagram looking at girls, or you're still peeking at porn, or you're still looking at girls in public in a lustful way, right? So you're not basically you're doing the practice, but you're not clean. You're still having to purify yourself. So that's where the celibacy comes in, right? When you're fully celibate, that means, like, not only have you restrained yourself sexually, but you have cleaned your consciousness of all lustful imagery, thoughts, and desires, right? Because that's where it all stems from. All of the impure actions that we commit, and we indulge in, they don't stem from us just committing those actions. It's because we don't have a clean consciousness. Our spirit is dirty. Our hearts are impure, right? So it's about purity. It's not about just restraining, because anybody can go a few days or a couple weeks. But if I think in this book I've read called Bliss of the Celibate, the author talks about, if you're still having dreams about, like naked women, or you're still having like wet dreams, that means you're not clean. Like your consciousness is still imbued with sexual imagery, and you still have some work to do. And I definitely have some work to do, but it's worth striving for, because as a child, right? And he also discusses this in the book called Bliss of the Celibate. When you're a child, you're in that blissful state, you're in that pure state because you're not thinking about sex. So your world isn't darkened by sexual imagery, and you're not committing sexual indulgences because you're a child, right? You essentially a lot of it, of course, stems from men is in particular. We have testosterone, so obviously it's difficult. But as a kid, you don't have much testosterone, so you're not inclined to want to go out there and have sex, right? But still, it's worth pursuing because purity is essential, right? You can you can sit here and try to practice semen retention, but if you're still, like I said, if you're still looking at sexual imagery on the internet, or you're still lusting over women in public, or paying for OnlyFans subscriptions, you're not pure. You're not pure at all, and you're gonna continue to relapse, right? It's just a matter of time. You could go 30 days, you could go 60 days. It doesn't matter. You're still not clean. So celibacy / semen retention is essential in every single religion. You can literally study. There's a good book on this actually. It's called The Coiled Serpent. You can find it. You could probably find it on Amazon, but you could actually get it for free on PDF drive. If you have a computer, you could just download the free PDF. And essentially, or basically what the author does is he takes you through every single religion and how he shows that every single one practiced celibacy. Even from, like I said, the ascetics to the Greek philosophy, like philosophers and their schools of thought. So celibacy and semen retention is essential. I don't know why we've lost touch with that, and we think we can somehow be, holy by just, going to church and praying and being a good person, right? So that's the second practice. The third practice is meditation, right? And so I'm actually not too sure about, like, in the very, like, the desert fathers, like the saints in the Christian or Catholic community. I don't know if they practice meditation per se. However, meditation is a cornerstone in most of the Eastern traditions, right? So nevertheless, right, we have basically a culture where we are all just, we can't not do nothing for 5 minutes, right? We're programmed to always do something. When we're bored, what's the first thing we want to do? We want to either go on our phone, we want to watch a movie, go outside, or just do something. We want to be occupied. However, every religion, Eastern religion especially, acknowledge the fact that to reach enlightenment, to reach God consciousness, meditation was something that was needed. Because without that, you are constantly in the world. You're constantly seeking material, right? So even, I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't want to go as far to say as like the Christian and Catholic monks would practice meditation, but they definitely had some forms of austerity. I don't know what they were. Maybe they prayed in certain ways. I think, I think also in the book Bliss of the Celibate, the author Julian Lee talks about how, like, you can reach God consciousness by intense, deliberate prayer, right? But I'm not too well versed in that, so I'm not the person to go to for that. But however, meditation is something that again is reemerging, but still it's been forgotten over the past couple hundred years, right? And so basically, guys, like, the moral of the story here is, we have a lot of fake phonies out there, basically, who are like, they say they're religious, they say they're spiritual, they say they're holy, but without these three practices, I don't care how nice you are, I don't care how good you are to your neighbor, like, if you're not pure inside, right, these practices, what are they aiming at? They're aiming at purity. What is fasting? Fasting is cleaning up your body, right? Think of Christianity. They have the Holy Trinity, right? Body, mind, spirit, Holy Ghost. Like, these three things, think about it. Fasting, what is fasting? It's for the body. What is semen retention or celibacy? It's for the spirit. It's for the Shakti to rise up, to raise consciousness, right? What is meditation? For your mind, to purify your mind, to reach higher states of consciousness. It's all connected. So like we have a society where people want to call themselves religious, they want to call themselves spiritual, but they don't practice any of the practices I'm discussing here. So what does that make you? That makes you just basically a false prophet, right? Because if you're a preacher, you're a priest, or even somebody who considers themselves like a servant of the Lord, right? But you're not like backing up, but you're basically not walking your talk, right? That's a lot of it. That's a lot of what it is. Because it's like, if I know every single line in the Bible, but I don't practice some of the teachings in there, I'm just using the Bible as an example, then what am I? I'm basically a false prophet, right? So we have to get back to the roots of these religious traditions and stop just thinking that there's only like, we can only take like a little bit of like what the religion is trying to convey to us and call ourselves pious or holy. That's bullshit, right? So we got to get back to our roots and reap the rewards. There are great rewards for these practices, but we are just so consumed in, especially nowadays, right, where consumer culture rules, where everybody just wants to be endless consumers. We just forgot about it. And because we can't put our pleasures, we can't put our comforts, we can't put our addictions to the side. And it's hard, but like I said, anything that's worth striving for or really worth having is difficult. And being pure, being like having a high state of consciousness is hard, but it's well worth it, right? Think about when you were a child and you were just blissful all the time. Wouldn't you want to reach that state again? Tell me, do you want to reach that state again? Because whenever I hear, people talk about their past, they always bring up childhood. They always bring up how easy life was when you were a kid. And people will say, oh, it's because you didn't have responsibilities. Part of it, yes, part of it was that. However, a lot of the real reason why we want to be children again is because of the purity that we experienced as a child. We weren't bogged down by sexual imagery and constant, our bodies weren't as toxic, right? Because, obviously as we get older and we are getting accustomed to the standard American diet, our bodies get more toxic, but they weren't as toxic back then. So I think it's important that we get back to these practices and take them seriously. Like I said, if you want to look more into this, especially like the part where the second practice, which is semen retention and celibacy, research the books, The Coiled Serpent and Bliss of the Celibate. They're both available for free online. I think it would do great wonders for you guys to read those because, like I said, basically those books take you through the religions and how, they practice it. They mention how the saints, how they went about, looking at women and basically how they would basically raise their consciousness, right? By practicing celibacy. So if you want to, look more into that, definitely research those books. If you want to buy them, go ahead and buy them, but you can get them for free on the internet. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was pretty long, actually, here, 20 minutes. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. Click the notification bell to get notified when I upload. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, feel free to leave them down below and I will do my best to get back to you. And as always, I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.